Our next question comes from Gloria Ibanez, editor of El Sol de Yakima. We have her questions, as you know, on videotape. This first question is focused on farm worker protections.
Washington has a multi-billion-dollar agriculture industry, and farm workers are vital to our state fruit harvest. A recent law gives these workers overtime, though farmers and growers want the state to roll that back. Would you recommend changes to new farm worker overtime rules and worker protections?
Mr. Reichert?
Yeah, I agree that workers need to be paid fairly, and meeting with ranchers and farmers across the state, they have exactly the same feeling. They want to pay their workers fairly, and they want to treat them fairly. They want to create a great work environment. They are interested in negotiating. Obviously, I think the last attempt at negotiating with workers in the state of Washington was to raise the weekly work hours to 50 hours and pay overtime for everything over 50 hours. And the reason for that is they have crops that need to be harvested in a certain amount of time. So I would look forward to working with the workers and the farmers together to find some agreement, some compromise, and base our decision on how we move forward with a fair treatment of workers on facts. And bringing people together to talk about and work through these issues to find the final solution.
Mr. Ferguson.
So I agree with Dave. Greater resources for farm workers, greater pay for farm workers, something I agree with. There's a difference here in this race, though, and that is that I've been specifically advocating for farm workers in my time as Attorney General. I'm proud to be endorsed by the National United Farm Workers. So, for example, when farm workers were mistreated here in Washington State, they turned to me and my team. We worked together to bring litigation against companies that mistreated them, sometimes in very stark and inhumane ways. We didn't just prosecute those cases successfully. We won millions of dollars. What to do with those millions of dollars? Put those dollars back in the pockets of farm workers. I've been to Central Washington and met with those farm workers. My team has met with those farm workers. My kids, they're teenagers in high school. I communicate to them how important farm workers are to our economy, to putting food on the table. They participate in a summer program the last 2 summers where they meet with farm workers. They help out their kids while the farm workers are in the fields to get exposed to what folks do in our society who do some of the most difficult work that few people want to do, that makes a huge impact on all Washingtonians. So there will be no greater friend to farm workers when I'm elected governor than me. My record proves it, and I look forward to advocating for them when I'm their governor.
Thank you.
Could I add something to that?
Yes, 45 seconds.
Okay, yeah, it won't take that long. I would like to point out, too, that I was a supporter of DACA and Dreamers when I was in Congress. So I want to make sure that those people that have come to Washington State from other countries, that they're treated fairly, that they have an opportunity to move forward in our community. They're so critical to the businesses and the farms that we operate here in Washington State. I want to make sure that they have a pathway to citizenship and they can build their families and their family businesses here in Washington State.
And I'd like to respond to that because this is important for farm workers and all Washingtonians to hear. Dave, you said your line about Donald Trump, that I quote you saying, I love Donald Trump's policies. You tried to correct me and say, no, I said I like some of them. No, you're That's incorrect. True. Folks can go to that website, Record Revealed. There is audio of you, Dave, saying, I love Donald Trump's policies. And I can assure you, Donald Trump's policies and his behavior is the antithesis of what farm workers are fighting for in our state. His policies would have harmed farm workers and too many communities of color all across our state and all across our country. I know this, Congressman, because I fought against Donald Trump. I beat him in court over 50 times to protect our environment, to protect our rights, and defend our freedoms. You, sir, said, I love Donald Trump's policies.
Mr.
Our stark difference could not be more.
15 seconds.
15 seconds. Bob, that's not true. I do agree with some of Mr. Trump's policies. I've explained those agreements. You're not being truthful. Please be truthful. And you're obsessed with Donald Trump. I've moved past that. I'm focused on the problems here in Washington State.
Thank you both.